most quiet 16 rebounds I've ever seen in a game. I didn't even realize it. I mean, literally just look, it was as we were closing in towards the last 2 or 3 minutes, I looked up at the box score and was like, that's the quietest 16 rebounds I have possibly ever seen. So let's jump right into this. By the way, I believe that this was the Valkyries.
The situation surrounding Caitlin Clark's absence from the Indiana Fever's recent game has raised serious concerns among reporters and analysts about how the organization handles injury communication. The core issue stems from what many are calling a gap between what was said before the game and what became apparent after it. Before tip-off, head coach Stephanie White told the media that Clark was healthy and that the team was not managing any kind of physical concern with her. The statement was delivered with confidence and left little room for interpretation, yet Clark never stepped on the floor, which immediately raised questions from everyone covering the team.
The Valkyries' second of a back-to-back. But I know one thing. Holy shit, they can't hit a layup to save their life. I mean, they had open shots. They had drives to the basket. They were way off. I mean, way off. So, the final score, 90-82. By the way, I was told by the media this game would absolutely sell out.
When reporters tried to get a straight answer after the game, White said Clark's back was sore and directed any further detail to the training staff. That response, however, was not treated as a denial of injury. It was seen as an acknowledgement that something was going on. One reporter noted that saying, "her back is sore," paired with pointing to the training staff, is not the same as saying there is nothing wrong. The confusion deepened because earlier in the season, White had mentioned that Clark and several other players would be heading to the tunnel during games for physical adjustments. Clark herself had said that her back tends to go out of alignment frequently.
Hey, I was told by the media this game would absolutely sell out. This game still did not sell out. It got close. I mean, look, people bought tickets thinking Kate Martin was going to be in this game, and they were not. Of course, she was not in this game because she's with the Sparks now. The Valkyries let her go. Once again, we continued the disturbing trend of starting a game out relatively fast, and then in the second quarter, we give up a lead.
So the question reporters were pressing on was whether this newest back issue was part of that same ongoing problem or something completely separate. White was also asked directly whether the Fever could face a fine for not updating the injury report. She said no. That answer drew further skepticism, given that the team knew by mid-afternoon that Clark was not going to play but did not inform the public until just before the game started. A podcast run by the Indianapolis Star picked up on this and ran a segment where local reporters discussed how walk-up ticket sales may have been a factor in withholding the announcement. The idea being that fans who already had seats would show up regardless, but those considering buying tickets at the door might not bother if they knew Clark was out.
Give up a lead. It was 26-18. Luckily, Caitlin Clark and the Fever showed out in the third quarter with a 29-17 showing. So let's just go over here to the box score. I got to tell you, let's start with the Valkyries because they could not hit water. I mean, look at this. 0 of 6, 1 of 4, 2 of 8, 4 of 12, 1 of 8, 1 of 3. They could not score tonight.
One reporter drew a comparison to a past situation involving Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson, where the team similarly said the player had a sore back only for it to come out later that he's had severe spasms and was unable to walk. The point being made was that vague language around back injuries has been used before to downplay the actual severity of what a player is dealing with. Multiple voices in Indiana sports media have now begun questioning whether White is being straightforward with the press. The criticism is not just that the information was incomplete. It is that the way questions had to be asked made reporters feel like they were pulling teeth to get basic facts. Reporters noted that questions like, "Is she injured? Is it ongoing?" should not need to be asked at all if a team is being open from the start.
1 of 3, they could not score tonight. Veronica Burton had 17, 10 points, and that was the only two double-digit folks that the Valkyries had. The big three showed up. Aliyah Boston, 20 points on 8 of 15, 16 boards, 3 blocks. And Caitlin Clark, I was like, I guess Caitlin Clark cannot get this last assist. We just can't figure out a way to get Caitlin Clark this last assist so we could get a double.
There is also commentary about the relationship between Clark and the coaching staff. Have noted that while Clark's connection with her teammates appears strong, the dynamic between her and the head coach does not carry the same visible warmth. Some analysts have gone so far as to say the organization does not appear to fully appreciate what it has in Clark, referencing a post-game win over an expansion team that some used to argue the Fever can succeed without her. The broader conversation that has emerged is whether Stephanie White's position with the team is becoming increasingly difficult to hold. Between the injury report handling, the lack of clear communication, and growing friction with local media, the pressure on the Fever's front office, including general manager Scott Skiles, is mounting.
Just can't figure out a way to get Caitlin Clark this last assist so we could get a double-double. Nah, didn't happen. 17 of 15, 4 of 9 from three-point range. Her three-point shot is back, folks. She hit a logo for 3 tonight, and she absolutely got in the Valkyries' face. Well, look, 22 for her, 9 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. Kelsey Mitchell, rough night. 19 points, but
reporters covering the team are no longer just questioning individual decisions. They are beginning to question the reliability of the people making them. The Indiana Fever are drawing uncomfortable comparisons to last season, and this time the parallels are difficult to dismiss. For a second consecutive year, the organization appears to have withheld player availability information until the last possible moment, and the fan base is responding with open fury. Caitlin Clark was ruled out for the game against the Portland Fire due to a back injury, with the announcement arriving roughly 1 hour and 20 minutes before tip-off.
Rough night. 19 points, but 4 of 10. And look, I'm going to be real about Kelsey. Boy, she is stuck on a lot of dribble, shoot. I found myself screaming at the TV at one point going, pass the ball again. Nope. Soon as she got the ball, dribble, clank, brick. I was like, okay, great. Sophie Cunningham, 11 points, 4 for 8 shooting.
What made the timing particularly damaging was the sequence leading up to it. The Fever had issued a status report the previous day listing no injuries. Nothing in that communication indicated Clark might miss the contest. Fans made plans, purchased tickets, arranged travel, and in some cases, took time off work, all under the assumption that Clark would be playing. The late scratch left those supporters with no practical way to reverse those decisions.
Okay, great. Sophie Cunningham, 11 points, 4 for 8 shooting. So Sophie threw some. Luckily, Sophie and Raven showed up because there was a large part of this game where the bench had done almost nothing. And even tonight, against this team, at times, lack of length and the lack of bench depth is still a thing. So, Caitlin Clark, 10 points, 5.
One reporter indicated the absence was part of a strategic management plan for the season, noting the game represented the fourth appearance in 8 days. That framing did little to soften the reaction. Critics were quick to draw distinctions between load management as practiced by established NBA franchises, organizations with multi-decade fan loyalty and deep merchandise revenue, and the WNBA, which is still in the process of building the kind of durable fan base that can absorb that sort of decision without serious consequences. Resale ticket prices told the immediate financial story. 33.
She's sitting at 22 damn points. Let's pull up the box score real quick. So Caitlin Clark is sitting at 22 points. She played a total of 32 minutes. So for whatever reason, it looked more suspicious, like the Indiana Fever definitely benched Caitlin Clark. I don't care what nobody says. Now, I do got to say all of this is alleged, but for her to play 32 minutes, solid 32, she had 9 assists. She could still possibly pick up this 10th assist with 41 seconds left and get another double-double. She was 7.
Reports suggested that even at those prices, movement was minimal. Fans who were already at or near Gainbridge Fieldhouse, when the announcement came through, described the atmosphere as one of disbelief and anger. Social media posts from supporters at the venue showed stretches of empty seating visible throughout the arena. The comments flooding the Fever's social media channels were nearly as voluminous as the number of reactions, with a consistent thread running through them. This is exactly what happened last season. Last year, Clark's availability was described as day-to-day, for what stretched into weeks and eventually months, with fans repeatedly restructuring plans around the possibility she would return to the lineup.
Left and get another double-double. She was 7 of 15 for the field so far. She was 4 of 5 on free throws. The team shot very well from free throw in this one. Caitlin Clark, once again, from 3, kind of, damn near 50%. Just a solid outing for her. Now, Kelsey Mitchell did good as well. Aliyah Boston showed up in this one, guys. We needed Aliyah Boston to show up. Aliyah Boston got a double-double. She was 8 of 15 from the field, 1 of 3 from three-point land. She had.
One supporter recounted rescheduling travel 3 separate times over the course of last season before eventually losing confidence in anything the organization communicated. That person stated clearly they would not be putting themselves in that position again. The pattern being described is not subtle. The Fever issued a clean injury report with no listed concerns, allowed ticket sales to continue on that basis, and then announced the scratch of their most prominent player with barely enough time for fans to react, let alone seek refunds or cancel arrangements. Whether this represents deliberate manipulation of the reporting process or simply poor internal communication, the outcome for supporters is identical.
She had 16 damn rebounds. Aliyah Boston was the difference maker in this one. Lexi Hall showed up at key moments with some solid three-pointers. Sophie Cunningham showed up. 11 points coming in for Sophie. Incredible game. Her three-point shot was like that. The Indiana Fever definitely looked like they're about to take care of business. Now, there was a very heated moment in this game.
Spent plans were made, and the primary reason for those plans did not take the court. Questions about who within the organization authorized the decisions and why the disclosure was delayed as long as it was have gone unanswered. The Fever's coaching staff, front office, and training personnel are all facing scrutiny from different segments of the fan base, with disagreement only over which party bears the most responsibility.
A business. Now, there was a very heated moment in this game where Caitlin Clark and Gabby Williams had a very in-depth exchange. I don't know why these women keep doing this. Now, look at Tiff and Caitlin Clark before we get to the Gabby Williams. Watch.
Right before the break, we got a little John going on. Caitlin says, hey,
look,
you and me, Hayes, you
Caitlin,
and me.
Look at Caitlin blowing her kisses. Caitlin blew her kisses, bro. Look.
What there is no disagreement about is the outcome. The trust between the organization and its supporters has taken another significant hit, and some fans are stating plainly that it may be beyond repair. Speculation about Clark's long-term commitment to Indiana has also resurfaced, with some observers suggesting the accumulation of these situations makes a future trade demand more plausible than it might otherwise seem. For these individuals who built travel plans and vacations around attending Fever games last season and absorbed repeated disappointments, the events of this week carry a particular weight. The franchise had an opportunity coming into this year to demonstrate that the handling of last season was an anomaly. Instead, within the opening weeks of the new season, the same sequence has played out again, and the patience of the people who invested most heavily in showing up appears to be running out.
Caitlin blew her kisses, bro. Look. So for all the people saying Caitlin Clark weak, we can stop that. Caitlin Clark is probably one of the toughest ladies. She's not putting up with the bullshit this year. She's standing on business, bro. She definitely been standing on business, and she been showboating, sticking out the tongue, showing her ass in this one. Shout out to Caitlin Clark, bro. I'm telling you right now, Caitlin Clark is coming back with vengeance. Dart passes, bro. So, no, it was Janelle Sloan and Caitlin Clark. Referees had to step in. Look at Caitlin, guys. Showing how tough she is. Hitting logo threes as well. Getting inside. Just Caitlin is so damn good, bro. I think, man, it's just crazy how so much better Caitlin Clark is compared to everybody else. I ain't lying, dog. I mean, she light years better than everybody else. And for people to not think Caitlin Clark is going to be the MVP, it's rhetorical. Just rhetorical what Caitlin Clark is doing here, bro. Caitlin Clark is balling, bro. So going back to the game, it's currently 80-88. Let's pull up the box score here. I believe the Valkyries might have called a timeout. Overall, the biggest concern for me going into this game was the defensive rebounds. The Indiana Fever dominated in the rebounds, bro. They had 24 defensive rebounds. They kind of lost themselves on the offensive board, but Aliyah Boston showed up, bro. Double, 16 rebounds. Incredible. Now, Stephanie White did not take Caitlin Clark out in this one. Obviously, it was a close game. The current score is 82-88, 33 seconds left for the Valkyries. The assist, now, there was a lot of turnovers, man. The Indiana Fever had 19